supposed to be a hauler, I mean, why would you use a panther of anything? Why wouldn't you make it like an elephant? Because an elephant would haul more than a fucking panther would.
Right, with a ton of fucking hard points. That's what
Yeah,
I mean. You put all
yeah,
those hard points on there that we really don't need. I mean, if you're making it a hauler, make it a hauler.
yeah. It's almost like they made it to be like an
Stand by for
explorer, if
automated
anything.
docking
You know.
procedure.
But even like there's nothing. So like an exploration ship in this game is kind of weird too because like I'm used to like space engineers. An exploration ship, if you're making an exploration ship in space engineers, you need to have a good source of power. So you want to have, the nuclear reactors. You're going to want, a refinery, a good one, not the little ones. You want the big refinery, if not two of them. You're going to want a couple of assemblers so you can make your stuff. You're going to want a lot of turrets for defense. You know, like here, it's like I can make anything an exploration ship because you're basically just jumping from system to system, and as long as you have enough fuel and a scoop, you could pretty much you could use your starter ship as an exploration ship, and get anywhere you want in the galaxy. Might take you longer, but you can still get there.
Retrieved latest depot
But there's no
progress.
like
Darling.
specialty, like yeah, there's scanners and stuff, so you put a scanner on there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I wish. I mean, especially with, and I know that they're trying to limit, how much trying to get or how much you can make. I get that, but man, like, can you at least give us a little bit more? If you could do the, like I said, 3-4 tons or 3,000 four
Yep.
thousand tons would be amazing.
Yeah. So Gam and Ilya went back to the bubble, well, back to whatever, you know, and he said he had to catch up on all of his reputation missions that he was supposed to be doing, but they went back there and they didn't do that. They went back and started farming stuff so they can increase their weapons and armor and whatever, you know. So, and I know Ilya wanted to start working on that one system that she found. That's kind of like why I asked her before, like last night. I was like, "So are you going to do that system?" Because she was the one that told me someone else was in the neighborhood with us, that we were going to have some kind of competition.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if you really think he's going to end up taking this on you, like I'd rather have one of us have it than him. Like the whole point of me bringing them out here and telling everybody let's come out here was so that we
How
could
does
all
NASA
work together
organize a
on our own
party in
systems and
space?
help each
A
other out because
planet.
we're neighbors basically. And but so it's like I don't know when the heck he's going to be coming back out here, but. And he just made it sound as like like it's 600 light years back to where his home base is, where he's doing all of his Jerome Archer quests, and he has to be there. So that's why I kind of made a joke, like, oh, you're going to be a snowbird, you're going to be here only half the season. So half
You're right.
you caught that, right?
Oh
You know,
yeah.
yeah, you're only going to be around half the time, so we're not going to be able to depend on you to help hold down the fort here. So it's going to be up to us to keep this place running. And then he was talking about like he wanted to flip the system before he started building everything, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, like if you build like I just looked at my system and I'm already down a couple of points and the other place is up a couple of points. Sure, I expected that. Why? Because come Thursday we're going to have a reset, and then I'm going to have 4 stations that I can land on, and guess what? I could donate 1 million. I could donate 1 million. I could
Hmm.
donate 1 million. And that's going to bring my influence up over there in that one station, then the other station, then the other station. And if I decide to do other missions like deliveries and this and that, like, and I run at it, like he did all of his stuff and his station wasn't offering anything to him anymore. Well, he's only got one station. What happens when you run out of missions? You go find another station, you know? So I don't
Yep.
know. I was a little disappointed, like because they were coming out and they were going to help us, and we really didn't see any help from them.
So I know Fabor was jumping his carrier towards this way.
Yeah,
Is he going to start colonizing, or
I don't know
what's his
because
plan?
that was his plan too. He was going to come colonizing too, and you know,
Engaging
but
automated
the two of
docking.
them are like they're all so they're all excited about the new. There's a new new expansion coming out, right? And I guess there's going to be a lot more fighting or PvP or PvE or whatever going on, and that's why they're gearing up for it. Like I don't know if you're into the fighting and stuff or not. I mean, yeah, it's fun once in a while, but like I'm a little burned out of gearing up and then you fight everybody and then you get it to a point where you're getting better gear and this and that and then all of a sudden now you got another expansion coming out and you just throw all that other stuff that you just did away in the trash because now none of that's going to work with the new stuff and so that's why I'm like hey, I like city building like I mean,
Hmm.
I don't mind doing the grind as long as it ain't too bad, and building a city and showing pride of I mean, you see me build stuff in Arc, like I mean, I tell you, Tattoo used to build some pretty hefty crap in Arc, the buildings and stuff he made, you know and but
Yeah, but
like
his was decorative. Like yours
yeah,
was
huge.
functional,
Yeah, yeah,
huge and functional. Like nowadays with the mods and shit that we have, like you can build. You don't have to build anything huge. I mean, like those servers that I play on, like
yeah,
I
just
literally,
a little 10 by 10, everything fits in a 10 by 10.
yeah, because I've got soul balls that I can put all my dinos in. I can breed the
Yeah.
dinos in there. I can do whatever, everything that I need. I don't have to have 900 million things out. But back in the day, like old school Arc, like you and I
Yeah.
used to play, like you
Yeah.
had to have. I mean, if you were working on a lineage of Brontos, like you had to have 40 fucking thousand Brontos out there, and of course you had to have a fucking damn cell phone tower of a PC to be able to fly over top your base. Otherwise,
Yeah,
shit would lock
exactly.
up. I mean, I've always had a pretty decent fucking PC, but damn, dude, like your base would even test my shit.
And I don't have a big, I don't have my computer ain't all that shit. It's like it was never bad. It's never,
The
you
problem
know.
is you were always in your base though, so you were all like as
I
soon
wasn't
as you
always in the
loaded
base.
in,
I
for the
left and
most
came
part,
back.
like you
Yeah,
automatically had that shit rendered. We're flying
yeah.
around the base looking for a level fucking 150 Pteranodon, and all of a sudden there's this monstrosity that pops up, and it all starts with fucking water lines. You just see a couple water lines pop up, and then all of a
Spotted
sudden
Thargoid. Blast it
your
so hard
computer
its
starts
ancestors
fucking
feel it.
coughing, shaking, quivering,
Beep 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 beep.
and you're like, oh yeah, it must be by Bumpa's place.
Engaging
Yeah,
automated docking.
yeah. I loved it.
Linway was a hell of a builder too.
Yeah.
I just like give me a square. I'm cool with the square. Oh, what?
I just don't miss, like bringing somebody new in to my
What?
base, and then all of a sudden they accidentally hit the J whistle, and everything comes
Oh my
flying.
god, yeah, that's horrible.
It took me hours to put all my dinos away.
The good old all follow.
Yeah. Everybody follow, but people wanted that in the game because they were like, they have to have a way of calling your pet, right? And if you had multiples, you don't want to have to point at which one you want. You just want them to all come,
Displaying latest
you know?
docking progress.
So everybody follow me, guys, like, so they gave him a whistle.
I just think it was funny because like you look back now, Bumpa. I mean, since it's been like years since we've actually played like actual online PvP. How long has it been?
It's been a long time. Yeah. Ark's the only game that ever pulled me away from Lotro. And when I left Ark, I went back to Lotro for a while, you know? So, but I can't get, like, it's the same thing with Ark. Like, I've played Ark a couple times since we've, had the last servers and stuff together. But I get up to the point where I can, I got all the same old mods. I get up to the point where I don't have to go out and farm the gold anymore, the ore anymore. I
Yep.
can just
Yep.
kind of just stick it in the replicator and, you know, grind up a bunch of shields and put it in. They can break them down and grind up some more, break them down. I just make what I need.
See, that server that I play on now, that Zombie Killers club,
Uh-huh.
they don't have like it's your 1 to 3 ratio or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah. Do
Your
they have a
normal.
blueprint machine?
No,
Oh, so you can't make blueprints? You can't
no.
blueprint your stuff? Yeah. Because I was going to say, if they had that, I don't know if you know that it's broken where you could actually blueprint your dinosaur.
Oh
So if you
Jesus.
lose it, you can get it back. Well, you ball them up, right? So
Right.
you stick the ball in there and you blueprint the ball, and then you just make your dino again. If you lose your dino, guess what? You just take
You
the blueprint
recraft the
out
dino.
and you
Oh my
make your
god,
dino again, and it only costs you like what is it, 1 hay or some stupid
that's
shit.
fucking ridiculous, Bumpo.
I
That's
was
fucking
handing out a whole.
ridiculous.
I did that over tattoos. I was giving them out the tattoo. It's like, here, you want another dino? Here's another one. Here's another one. He's like, how are you doing that? I'm like, what? I said, here, you want me to blueprint your dino? He's like, yeah. I'm like, let me ball him up. I ball up his dino. I go over there. I blueprint it. I go, here's your blueprint. Anytime your dino dies, he goes, did you seriously just blueprint my dino? I said, yeah.
Engaging automated docking.
You know, you remember the wyvern milk hack that I found
Yes.
by having
Yeah.
the alt character? You know that still works to this day.
It still works. Yeah.
Yeah, because we never told anybody about it. We just
Never told
utilized it.
anybody. Yep.
Yeah, if you upload an alt into the cloud full of wyvern milk, and when you pull that alt out, the spoil timer is right back at, I think it was like 10 minutes for wyvern milk.
Yeah.
Use what you need, throw the alt back
And
in the cloud, and it resets the timer again.
yeah. That's
But,
crazy.
fuck, most of the time, like, that's the only downfall that I don't like. Okay, so the server that I play on, the breeding rates are fucking horrible. So, like, if I breed Megatheriums, to go do the boss, brood mother, it takes like 18 hours for it to cool down. And I'm like, okay, that's stupid. We're modded for a fucking reason. But I can't get them to change. They won't change it out. And I keep telling them, like, that's why our player base has gone, because like all the other rates are really good. They're solid rates, and there's not a lot of like cheaty stuff in there. But when your breeding rates are 18 hours, that's almost a full day that I've got to
Yeah.
wait. It's
And
just
and
not
you can't
good.
even take them off the server and bring them to another one because they're all linked now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're going to do boss fight events and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, that's cool. But what if I wanted to farm bosses?
I mean, I think, like that's the way they should have done the server jumps in the first place was, just connect it to 3 or 4 different servers, not, like you could go to any server you want, kind of thing with your stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
There you just went.
Yep.
So I looked up CMM composites. CMM composites are like a carbon fiber material applied to metal, is what Dangerous Elite explains them as. That's why they're so needed
Yep.
upon
And they're
space
made
building.
out of a refinery.
Yep, because of the steel based.
Yep.
And that makes sense why you would need a colony as well, because you're going to have somebody to apply the carbon fiber.
Stand by
See, it
for
all
Yeah,
goes
they
automated
said,
together.
docking procedure.
yeah, planetary refinery with a orbital colony. And get you your CMM composites. I think it said civilian actually, which gives you colony anyway.
Did I just blow past this fucking ship? Oh, I did because I had auto docking on. And I left the fucking throttle full wide open. Oh, there we go.
Nimoy Horizons. So steel's down to one carrier load, 21,184.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Plus whatever we have left. So
And then only, so you get 21,000 tons, right?
21 per carrier load. Yep.
So we got
Or
Display
23 if you
latest
want to
deck
count both of
progress.
us. But yeah.
3 carrier loads of CMM composites that we still got to do.
Yep.
And then the rest of it should be all like easy peasy stuff, right?
I think the titanium's on the high side too, isn't it? I don't remember.
I'm here now, so. Oh, actually, I'm at your ship, so. Dump this stuff off. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, okay. I fucking just got really confused. Brain worms kicked in right there. Because I was like, wait a minute, am I buying or selling? Because I shouldn't be selling to you. But you've only got it set up one way, so.
Yeah, you can only do one or the other. Yep. Coming in hot.
Coming in hot, he says. No, I see you. I see your square at least. Nope. Yep. You just jumped in. Coming right at you. Nice roll maneuver.
But
I just buzzed you.
yeah.
Oh, man.
I just got a message from the Pilots Federation. They said we need to stop calling the fuel scoop the sippy straw. Stand by for automated docking procedure.
Bumpa.
Yep.
Stop calling the fuel scoop a sippy straw.
A sippy straw.
Yes. Apparently the Federation is upset with us for calling it that.
Hmm.
He just took a drink of fucking pop and completely just dumped it down in front of my shirt. Did you see me?
I didn't see how you were under my belly,
Oh yeah, I was. We
trying
were close.
trying to roll out. Yeah, I think my thing's underneath here. Yeah, it's got to be.
Wonder how many ton we got left.
Probably 6.
Okay, so yeah, we're cruising, man.
I think it was 7 when I took mine, so it's probably around 6.
Stand by for automated docking procedure.
You are at 20% complete though at this carrier.
Oh hell, that's good progress.
Yep.
I love the fact that you can see that nebula here. Like that is, there's actually 2 or 3 nebulas here that you can see.
Yeah.
I can't remember what nebula that is, but there's Witch Head and the California Nebula. Oh, so the big one that you see is probably Bernard's Loop,
Bernard's Loop. Yeah.
and then there's Horsehead just in between it. There's the Horsehead Nebula, Orion Nebula, and Witch Head Nebula. So that's probably the ones that we're seeing. I don't know. You might be able to see the California
Displaying
Nebula from
latest
where we're at.
depot progress.
I always want to know what those white clouds are. Because they move with you across the screen. You see that?
Oh yeah.
I see
It's
them
just
all the time when we're at that ridge station. I pull out and there's a white cloud. I'm like, wonder where that takes you to.
it's just truly mind blowing. Like once you zoom in and actually start looking at the stars, but for some reason, like my map it's bugged and I
Mine
really
is
can't
too.
see a
I
lot
get
of
like,
stars.
yeah, I barely get any stars out this far.
What the hell is that?
I'm gonna pop in for a land and I'm gonna go have a smoke.
Mm-hmm.
How we doing anyway? Should be at 6, I think.
We're at
59.
59.80
Yeah.
plus
So it's
my
one
or
more.
well minus the ones that I'm about to buy. So I'll tell you here, give you an update here. We're down to 48.44
Yeah.
in this load.
So 2 more each. Here I come. What are all those little yellow things?
Which little yellow thing? But
In your menu, the one menu. So it's like a little yellow thing next to all
little
those.
land. I think they represent that they have land. Or no. Because this is my station, so I think those are representing ones that I can build land bases
Really?
on. Mm-hmm.
I have to look at mine when I go into it because I
So
don't know. Mine
let's
doesn't
look.
do that.
23A8C. A8C. There's
8 would be the
A6B.
eighth planet. 7th and one more under the purple. Yeah, that's 8 and then C.
Yeah, see, I can build land base
Got
on
one
that.
on it. Okay, so that's what that represents. Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't notice that in mine because maybe it just doesn't do the color.
Is there,
You know?
do I even have, yeah, I've got, there's 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I've only got like 5 or 6, you know, little ones that I can't actually build on.
You
The
know
rest
you've
of
been
them
in
can be
deep
built on.
space for too long
I can
when
do
you start talking
52
to your
orbitals
plants
and
and they start
65
talking back.
land based. Like, that's freaking insane.
Yeah. All right, down to 3681 after my load here. I'm going to go have
Alrighty.
a quick cigarette before I come
Yeah.
finish it up.
Yep.
Just sit back and relax, Commander. Anyone else think it's weird that we're hurtling through space on a giant metal tube? No, just me. Okay.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. That was a quick fucking smoke.
Yeah. I just stood at the door. I didn't go into the little man cave like I always do. I usually go into the man cave with the phone, and I didn't even bring my phone out.
Just sit back and relax, Commander.
It's funny because this co-pilot's not talking dirty. Like, every time I go to kick in, Otto, she's like, just sit back and relax.
Yep, sit back and relax. Yeah. And since we're not going through an envelope, she's not like saying like, while I squeeze this in, try not to wince if it's tight. So yeah, I don't know what's going to go on with Faye or Gam or Ilya. You know, like I think Ilya wants to do the system, but she doesn't want to be out here
Our
without
depot
Gam. You
progress
know,
is
she
up
kind of
to date.
follows him around.
Beloved.
Right.
You know, so at least that's what I noticed anyway, which is good. I mean, you know, it's a good relationship they have.
Yeah, I was like I said, I was just really curious about Faye because like he was like, well, where should I jump my ship? And it was
Yeah,
like, okay, well, cool. Are you coming out here? Because I mean, if you are, that's even cooler. Like,
yeah.
there's plenty of systems out here.
Got to get team money to get out here because he likes to build too. He'll come out here and join us. You know,
Good old T Money. Where's he? Where the hell's he been? He like I haven't.
I don't know. I don't
He
know.
hasn't been on for a few days.
I know. Last two times he came on, he got into Discord and Lee called me, Lamer, and I hadn't been able to talk to him. By the time I got off the phone with Lamer, you know, he was gone.
That's my other buddy too, man. I like Lamer. Like, I have a lot of respect for that guy. That guy's
Him
so
and I
smart,
have
man.
not been seeing eye to eye on a lot of things. Some of the conversations I've had with him, he's made me want to kill myself. So I just stopped. I had to stop talking to him for a while.
Oh, jeez.
He's a really good friend of mine, and he's been a long time friend of mine. But there's some of the stuff that he's been saying just made me want to kill myself. I just don't want to live. You know, it's just whatever. But you
Yeah.
know, I've had a very hard few 4 or 5 months now.
Oh, I know.
You
I know.
know, it's like even today I went out there, you know, to go work on the truck. I'm going out into the backyard and I grab a couple of, you know, I got coffee cans full of bolts. I used to have a bolt box in my garage at my mother's, and I had the wrong ship. Yes. Um, and you know, I go out in the back and I start dumping it onto a rag to find the bolts
Just
that
sit
I
back
need.
and
And
relax,
I just
Commander.
right away I just start bawling in tears because it's like I really miss my son. You know,
How long has he been gone, Bumpa?
July will be 2 years.
Wow.
It's not. It doesn't go away.
No, no. I'm sure it doesn't. I can't imagine.
You know. So and then you know I go out to the. I showed my brother because my brother was over on Friday. We went out to the res together. I said, you know, it's funny. I said I just got. You know, my son just sent me a message on Facebook. You know, and I know it's from him. And you know, it just says, you know, hey dad, you know, it's like it's a son to father letter from heaven. You know, like I know you miss me. I know you're doing, but you just, you know, be know that I'm watching over you, that I'm very proud of you, and you know, da 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 da. He goes, it won't be long. We'll be together again. You know, just
And that's all you can do, Bumpa, is just, hold on to that, you know?
hold on to the good times. You know,
Yep,
but you know,
absolutely.
and like my brother, you know, my brother tells me too, and I know my son, he he struggled with addiction. You know, I mean, I, you know, like I can't quit smoking. You know, I'm trying, but you know, I've been trying since before Christmas. You know, I was down to about 4 cigarettes a day in January because I was sick as a dog. But then as soon as I got better, I went right back to about a half a pack to a pack a day. And you know, but so and he was addicted to the heroin. You know, and he would do good for a while and then, you know, go right back. But you know, a lot of it's just I just have a lot of questions that are unanswered, and I never will. I know I never will get any of them answered. You know, like you know, my son did ask me. My son asked me to go for coffee with him one day. You know, and he had this conversation with me, and he said, you know, Dad, he goes, he said to me, he says, you know, I did a lot of wrong to you. You know, He goes, I stole from you and this and that, over the time. He goes, but, he goes, I just wanted to let
You
you
know
know
what's
that I'm
weird?
really sorry,
We're traveling through
And he
space at
goes, and you
thousands
never
of
gave up
kilometers per
on me.
second, but it feels like we're
And I
just
told
sitting
him,
here.
he
It's
goes,
like
I know
space
in my
is the
heart you
ultimate
always
lazy
forgave
river.
me for everything that I did wrong to you. And I said to him, I said, Rich, I said, you're my number one. I said, I said, you're my blood, I said, yeah, I wasn't happy with your addiction. I said, but I understand it. I said, it's not something you could control. And I go, but there are times there's a choice, and I said, and you got to be hard about it. And I said, but, and then he was saying stuff like, uh, the family hates him. I said, our family doesn't hate you. They love you. He goes, well, I let them all down. I said, no, you didn't. He goes, I wouldn't go to events, and this and that, because I always thought they thought bad of me and everything.
Stand by for
And I said,
automated
Richie, if
docking
you think
procedure.
for 1 second that, you wronged somebody, I said, you got Facebook. I said, get on Facebook, reach out to, like your cousins, your aunts, your uncles. I said, say hello to them, tell them that you love them, you know, and, I said, we all supported you. I said, yeah, and, nobody wants to, have to deal with addiction. I said, but you're the one that's really dealing with it. I said, it's hard on us, but we know how hard it is on you. You're always fighting it every single day of your life. And we know
Right.
that, you know. And I said, but you have, I said, you're young. I said, you have a lot of life left in you. I said, if, I said, you have plenty of
Our
time to
depot
make
progress is up
right
to
to
date.
anything you
Commander.
feel you did wrong. And he reached out to everybody in the family on Facebook within the next couple of weeks, talked about getting together and, seeing them and this and that. And they were all reaching back out to him and telling him how much they love him. And then he died, So I think he was kind of telling me that he was dying
Right. Right.
without actually telling me, so, but, and I
And
respect
and
that.
and you said it 100% correct there when you said that, yeah, you guys see the repercussion of the addiction, but you don't you don't
What,
understand it because you don't know what he's going through. Like,
yeah,
and it is hard. I mean, I've never. I say that I've never struggled with addiction, but obviously, I drink 400 Dr Peppers a day, and smoke a pack and a half of cigarettes a day. It is merely the same thing. It's just it's a stronger, and I know the battles that I go through when I try to quit smoking. You feel them.
yep,
I can only imagine that something like that is 20 times worse, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, you always try to be supportive. It is your kid. You want to be supportive of them. Yeah, you don't necessarily like their decisions that they're making in life, but that's your child. You're not going to wash your hands of them.
yep,
And I think they, as addicts, they expect everybody to wash their hands because it's the easy thing to do, is what they feel. And I don't know, and I think that it helps some people, and some people they just I don't know. I
yep,
wish there was an answer for all of it, man, because it's
yeah,
addiction's sad. It's really
Engaging
sad.
automated docking.
yep. And it's just like my brother said. He goes, at least my son's not suffering every day anymore, because he was, and he really tried, Towards the end, he became clean. One of the other things I was telling him too, I said, not for nothing, Rich. I said, I will tell you this. I said, you go to the clinic all the time, and I know because you guys have told me, after 30 days of being clean, they give you a reward, a take home. I said, and then after 3 months, they'll give you a second take home. So I said, you go to the city every single day. I said, you get up early in the morning. I said, it's an hour and a half ride out. I said, if you see a doctor, you're there for another half an hour. It's another hour and a half ride home. I said, it's like 4 hours a day. I said, half your day, every single day of your life is wasted in a car ride so you can go get medicated. I said, whereas if you, and I said, I don't know what it is. It's like you're afraid to get your take home. I said, but if you think about it, if you took your take home, I said, then you would only have to go 5 days a week instead of 6 days a week. And then eventually you only have to go 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week. Eventually you'll get it to you only have to go into the city once a month and you'll have your 30 days take home. Because that's what some of the people do. They have 30-day take homes because they've been clean for 3 or 4 years, you know? And, um, not everybody can get off of methadone. Methadone is basically a lifelong thing. You're on it for the rest of
Right.
your life,
Right.
you know? Some people can get off of it, and most people can't. And so that's one of the things you have to initially face. So like about a week before and I kind of feel bad too, but a week before he passed away, he came into the room and he said, "Look, Dad," he goes, "I got two take homes." I go, "What do you mean you got two take homes?" He said, "Yeah, they didn't realize that I was clean for so long. Instead of giving me just one take home, they gave me 2 days take home." you
Nice.
know. And that was the week he passed away. I think
Mm.
they gave him the take homes because they didn't expect him to come back anymore, and they knew he was dying within a couple of days.
I just
Wow.
realized something. If we were on Earth
Yeah.
right now, we'd be
So,
stuck
but
in
I just
traffic.
told him, I said, "See, like I was proud of him. I was like, I'm really proud. I'm like, you got it. You really listened to what I said a couple of weeks back. We had our little heart to heart. Like he listened to me. And I'm like, now you only have to go 5 days a week instead of 6 or 7. I said, because
Right.
you're going to get 2 days take home. And it's like, I don't know, but
So, and you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, Bumba. But was it an overdose that took him,
no,
or
no. He
okay,
died of so he had sepsis. He was septic, right?
okay, yep,
And he had what's called endocarditis. Um, so I asked the doctor what endocarditis is. It's uh, it's kind of like barnacles on a boat.
okay,
It latches onto the heart valves and all the valves in your body. And he said, you have to go. A lot of
Initiating
people
docking
can
maneuvers
get
now.
it.
Try to
Like
keep
you
your
could get it
hands
from
off the
anything. You
controls for this
you could get
phase.
it from welding. You
No
cut
fucking
yourself
with the
on a
docking
piece of metal,
computer this
and you can
time.
get endocarditis. You can cut it. You can get it from scratching a scab off. Okay, anybody can get it. But since he's an addict and he was always dealing with the heroin and the needles and the scrap metal and everything else, he was more susceptible to getting it, and he got it. And the only way to cure it is to be hospitalized 3 months, intravenous, with a very heavy antibiotic.
oh
And
wow,
so, yeah. And in fact, I talked to the woman at the funeral home, and she said her husband had it twice.
mm.
And after the second time, the doctor kept saying he had something wrong with his heart, needed heart surgery. And the doctor said, "Look, I'm letting you got cured of it this time." He goes, "But," he goes, "you're getting into your 70s now." He goes, "If you get endocarditis again," he goes, "you will not be able to be cured because your heart won't be able to hold it
Displaying
anymore. You
latest
need the
depot
surgery."
progress.
And so she said he got the surgery and he's been feeling better ever since, but you should have like, yeah, 245 left. um, and so, but yeah, it's so, and then it was a freaky thing too because he died in the hospital. Like, so we brought him in, and then by the next morning, they were trying to put ports in and stuff like that. So they called us at 4 in the morning. They had to get permission to put a port in and everything else. And then 10 o'clock in the morning, they said the port wasn't working. They wanted permission to put another port in, and we were getting dressed to go up to see him. And so we gave them permission for the second port. Within 15 minutes, they called us back and said, "Where are you? Are you going to be here anytime soon?" We're like, "Why? Your son's heart stopped, and we had to resuscitate him. So he's on life support now."
Mm.
And apparently something happened where I don't know if they fucked up or whatever, but my Aunt Betsy was there when they did it, and she didn't say anything, but they probably took her out of the room anyway. And but apparently some of the blood spilled onto one of the nurses there because when they were trying to put the second port in, they missed or it just burst or, you gotta remember he's an addict, so a lot of his veins were collapsing all
Collapsed
the
and
time. Yeah,
scarred up and everything. Yeah.
weak, and yeah, so putting a port in him was probably dangerous as it was, and that's why the other one wasn't working properly. So when we got there, we were there for like, I don't know, 4 hours, and we're waiting to talk to the doctor. And then the doctor finally comes in and says, "Well, Are you guys ready? And we're like, ready for what?
Stand
I'm
by
like,
for
I've been waiting to
automated
hear what's
docking
going on
procedure.
because the last we heard was there was a doctor that said, if the antibiotics that he's been on starts to clear up some of the sepsis, they would do the surgery to remove the endocarditis, right? And he goes, even if his numbers get a little better, he goes, he'd be a good candidate. And the doctor said to us, he said, no. He goes, you see this machine? We're like, yeah. He goes, this is keeping your son alive right now. He goes, he's not coming back. He's not going to, we're not going to be able to
Oh,
save him.
wow.
So we were sitting there for 4 hours waiting for a doctor, and that was supposed to be 4 hours for us to say goodbye to him. So then we had to, you know, and at that time, Dee Dee turned around and ran out of the room, and my daughter ran out of the room, and it's like I just kind of like, so we all, you know, wait. We did another half an hour or so, just talking with each other and saying goodbye to him, and then we just told the doctor, okay, is he gonna feel any pain? He goes, nope. He goes, we're just gonna shut the machines off. He goes, and then he's just gonna slowly, slowly stop breathing. It's just gonna get shallower and shallower, and until he passes away. And so,
That's a
and then after
tough
all that,
decision to have to make.
I've had to do it 3 times already, and and then afterwards, one of the other doctors came up and says, "Do you want to do an autopsy?" And I said, "For what? We know he died of the endocarditis and sepsis, right? That's what's going to be on the death certificate." And he goes, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "But I just, sometimes families want to do an autopsy." And I'm like, "An autopsy?" So I'm like, "No, I think we're okay. We know,